поддерживает инициативу председателя Си Цзиньпиня и заинтересована в том, чтобы приступить к конкретному обсуждению предложений, которые высказали наши китайские друзья. И думается, что именно ШОС могла бы взять на себя лидирующую роль в усилиях по формированию в мире более справедливой и равноправной системы глобального управления, которая основывалась бы на примате международного права и ключевых положениях Устава ООН, была бы подлинно сбалансированной и учитывала бы интересы максимально широкого круга стран.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, September the 1st, coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the SCO event in Tianjin, China, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the atmosphere at the SCO is very energetic, very positive. The SCO is definitely becoming one with BRICS. That's very obvious, and the SCO and BRICS, this multipolar axis, this multipolar organization, is coming together in order to protect its members from the collective West weaponization of the USD, of various institutions, sanctions, tariffs. We're definitely starting to see the multipolar world come together and build an architecture and a structure that is not meant to go after the collective West or the US dollar or anything like that. What it's meant to do is to protect its members from the weaponization of the dollar and the weaponization of the various institutions that the collective West controls. And they published the declaration, the Tianjin Declaration, which talks about that. It talks about trade between members. It talks about security, geopolitics. It mentions Iran and the war against Iran. It mentions Gaza and the two-state solution, a Palestinian state. It mentions a lot of issues, geopolitical, economic, security issues, the Tianjin Declaration. But you know one thing it doesn't mention? It doesn't mention Project Ukraine, which is very interesting. No mention of Ukraine in the Tianjin Declaration. A lot of people are talking about that. And I think Russia wanted it that way. I definitely think that Russia preferred to not get bogged down during the SCO discussing Project Ukraine. It's a signal from Russia, a signal from Putin to all of the countries participating at the SCO that Russia has everything under control. There's no need for us to really get into the weeds of discussing Ukraine. Putin did say some things about Project Ukraine in his statement. He said, "What's up, buddy?" Got a friend here, a geopolitical Athens dog. The geopolitical Athens dog. So yeah, Putin, he talked about Project Ukraine briefly in his statement, where he said that the reason you have the conflict in Ukraine is pretty much NATO expansion, collective West NATO expansion. He said is why you have Project Ukraine. Basically, the root causes is what Putin was talking about, but it didn't make it into the declaration. It didn't make it into the declaration, and I think that speaks a lot to Russia's confidence in that they've got Project Ukraine under control. Very different than what happens when the Europeans get together and Zelensky is at the Collective West European meetings. Those meetings are not talking about trade and economics and making their countries better and cooperation, things like this. Those meetings between the Europeans and Zelensky, when they get together, they're all about Project Ukraine and nothing else. Right? They're not about Germany. They're not about France. They're not about anything else but Project Ukraine, man. What could I say? And at those meetings, it's the exact opposite of what we are seeing at the SCO in Tianjin, where Putin is not coming to the meeting begging China and India for money, for weapons, for help. Nope, he's not doing any of that. Zelensky, when he goes to the meetings, it's all about give me money and give me weapons. That's the entire Collective West meetings, whatever takes place with the Collective West, the G7 meetings, or whatever other events that they have going on. It's all about Project Ukraine. It's all about destroying Russia. There's a little bit of destroying China in there as well, and it's all about money and weapons to Zelensky. So very, very different energies, vibes at the Collective West meetings compared to what we're seeing at this SCO meeting, where Putin is walking in there and saying, guys, we really don't need to get into Project Ukraine. I don't need anything from you all. Let's talk about other stuff. Let's talk about a multipolar world. Let's talk about protecting ourselves from the weaponization of the Collective West, of sanctions and the USD and these things, and let's get the multipolar world going. That's the difference right there. So yeah, Putin had a meeting with Modi. Modi posted all kinds of complimentary things about Russia and about the meeting with Putin. This is going to really upset the Collective West. Reading and watching the videos and the posts from Modi and everything coming out of the SCO connected to the meeting between Putin and Modi. They got into Putin's car together to go to the summit venue, and Modi posted that on X after the proceedings at the SCO summit venue. President Putin and I traveled together to the venue of our bilateral meeting. Conversations with him are always insightful. Then Modi posted a bunch of photos of himself and Putin. Always a delight to meet President Putin. And then Modi posted photos of himself with Putin and Xi Jinping. Interactions in Tianjin continue, exchanging perspectives with President Putin and President Xi during the SCO summit. Oh, that photo of Putin, Modi, and Xi. That is going to really, really upset the Collective West. You know which media is very, very angry with these images from Modi and all the videos that are coming out of the SCO? The German media. The German media is plenty mad. They are very, very angry with what is coming out of the SCO summit. I believe this is billed with the title Red Carpet for Putin at the Vilnius Summit in China. Oh, they're mad. Germany is mad. They weren't this upset when Nord Stream was blown up, were they? I don't remember Bild being this angry when someone blew up Nord Stream. Nord Stream blew up, whatever. Putin gets a red carpet treatment in China. Damn it to that villain Putin. Nord Stream blows up. Oh, who cares? It's just a pipeline, man. Build. Build. German media, man. Crazy, bro. Oh, boy. Putin also met with Erdogan as well. He said very complimentary things about Turkey, which is interesting because, yeah, Turkey does hold the Istanbul talks. Istanbul talks, obviously, they take place in Turkey, and and Erdogan provides the venue for negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, but and Turkey did not fold to the pressure of the collective West, so they can send in ships into the Black Sea and stuff like that. But Turkey has been pretty much on the side of Ukraine for this conflict. You know, they've been providing weapons and support to Project Ukraine. They've been trying to do it on the down low, but everyone knows that Erdogan has been very much on the side of Ukraine. Not 100%. Let's just say 60%, 70% on Ukraine, and he keeps another 30, 40% for Russia. This is how Erdogan operates. He's a master of this game, playing both sides. Anyway, did I mention that Pashinyan was at the event? I think I mentioned Pashinyan was at the STO. I don't know, I forgot. But yeah, Pashinyan was there, hanging around, floating around. Check out this photo posted by Lord Bibo, a comparison of the SCO, the group photo from the STO, with the meeting that took place at the White House with Trump behind the desk in the Oval Office, and the little kids, the little vassals, sitting in front of Trump, the principal and the little students. Oh man, Peter Navarro, who has been really going after India over the past couple of weeks, just really trashing India. Peter Navarro, right? Not a good move. Not a very bright move from Peter Navarro, the Trump administration. They've really pissed off India. They've driven India right into the arms of China. I mean, there was a detente that started in Kazan, so it started under the Biden administration. But man, the Trump administration, they just supercharged the detente, the rapprochement between China and India. Now China and India are committed to building good relations. And Navarro and the Trump administration, they have been trashing India, pissing off Modi. And Modi said, you know what? I just can't deal with you guys. The United States said, I can't deal with you. And Modi had a good relationship with Trump, a really good relationship with Trump. Modi was the first leader to actually visit the White House when Trump got reelected, got his second term. It was Modi that first went to the White House. I mean, they liked each other. Now Modi doesn't even answer Trump's phone calls because they're trashing. They've trashed India so much. Trump called India a zombie economy or a dead economy or something like that. Terrible geopolitical advice that the Trump White House is getting.
So I would look. Modi's a great leader. I don't understand why he's getting to bed with Putin and Xi Jinping when he's the biggest democracy in the world. So I would just simply say to the Indian people, please understand what's going on here. You got Brahmins profiteering at the expense of the Indian people. We need that to stop.
Navarro, he is now kissing Modi's butt. Yeah, he was on Fox News talking about what a great leader Modi is and how great the Indian people are. But he just can't understand, he says, I can't understand why India continues to work with Russia. Navarro, man. For a trade advisor, he doesn't really know much about trade. Oh my God. Cheap, dependable oil, Navarro. Decades and decades and decades of friendly cooperation with Russia, Navarro. You think India is just going to give that up? Just like that? Oh man, these guys. Anyway, let's move on. Merz, he gave an interview to German media, and he said that there are going to be no German troops in Ukraine, at least not without the United States. No U.S., no German troops. Man, these guys are cowards, man. I can't think of another word. We want the United States to put boots on the ground. We want the United States to provide all of its military support for us in Ukraine. We want a no-fly zone. We want air defense systems. We want missiles. We want all of it. And then, and only then, after the United States does all of these things, then we'll send troops to Ukraine. Trump, in his interview with the Daily Caller, he said what the United States is going to provide to the Europeans, at least when it comes to security guarantees. He said the United States is going to give a plane or two. That's what Trump said, man. He said, we'll have a plane or two or something flying around in the skies for the Europeans. Yeah, we'll have a plane. One plane. No more. So that's Merz saying that Germany is not going to be putting boots on the ground. And what else did Merz say? He said something else, which I forgot. One second. Merz. Germany gives up on idea of sending troops to Ukraine. Okay. He also said that that instead of putting boots on the ground in Ukraine, Germany's just going to give money to Zelensky. Yeah, we're just going to give Zelensky money. He actually said that Germany's going to even pay the salaries for Ukrainian soldiers for the future. Going well into the future, he said Germany's going to pay for the Ukrainian army's salaries. Good to know. If you're a German citizen, that must be welcome news. Your country's going to be paying the salaries of the Ukrainian soldiers. So yeah, that's Merz's answer to no boots on the ground. Instead of no boots on the ground, at least Germany's going to give money to the Green Goblin. Greece announced that it's not going to send troops to Ukraine. At least the Mitsotakis government did one thing right. They went hard against Russia. Boy, did the Mitsotakis government, did the Greek government go hard against Russia. A huge mistake, absolutely huge mistake. By the way, Putin announced as he was meeting with Erdogan that I think he said that there's record tourism, Russia to Turkey. I think it's like the #1 destination for Russians. I believe he said that. Anyway, he was talking about the huge Russian tourism that Turkey is getting. A big part of that Russian tourism used to come to Greece, used to come to Cyprus. Boy, did we mess up big time. Greece and Cyprus really, really messed up in a big, big way. That's what happens when you don't have sovereignty, right? Mitsotakis gets the orders from Ursula and he executes those orders without thinking about the best interest of his country. Anyway, at least they made one correct decision by saying that they're not going to send troops to Ukraine. That would have caused a huge uproar in Greece. Greek troops going to Ukraine to fight Russians. The government would have collapsed here in Greece. Poland is telling Germany that they want reparations. You go, Poland. Karol Nawrocki, the new president of Poland, who is in a bit of an argument with Donald Tusk. Mr. Tusk. Yeah, he's in an argument with Tusk. Nawrocki. I think he's going to be going to the United States to meet with Trump. And then Tusk was very angry about this. And he basically posted on X that the real decision maker in Warsaw is the prime minister, and the president really has no authority. And then Nawrocki shot back at Tusk, his office. They replied to Tusk's post on X saying that the president can represent Poland and does factor into foreign policy decisions. And so they're in a bit of an argument. But Nawrocki, he is now saying that Germany needs to pay back Poland reparations for World War II. Yeah. Pay up, Merz. BlackRock Merz. BlackRock has the money. They have the money. They can pay Poland if they want. Oh, man. In Bulgaria, Ursula was in Bulgaria. And in Bulgaria, they are building military facilities. Rheinmetall is going to build a couple of big facilities in Bulgaria. There's other Bulgarian facilities that are churning out weapons to send to Project Ukraine and to fight the Russians. Bulgaria is being turned into a military state, into a militarized country. That is what is happening in Bulgaria at the moment. Bulgaria used to be a big manufacturer of weapons back in the day, but those warehouses, a lot of them closed down. But now they're restarting up the military production in Bulgaria. Anyway, Ursula, she was actually flying into Plovdiv, and her plane had problems, and they're blaming it on Russia. Like the navigation systems or whatever were not working, and they're saying that Russia was jamming the navigation or the GPS or whatever, and they were blaming it on Russia, right? Russia. And then Peskov comes out with a statement and he says, dude, we had nothing to do with this, man. just take a chill pill, Ursula. Everything is Russia, right? Maybe the plane had problems, I don't know. Anyway, she ended up landing in Bulgaria, and she made her way to this military facility, and there were Bulgarian protests, and they were blocking her car on its way to this military facility, and they were saying some very, very nasty things about Ursula. Very, very nasty things. My sense of things is that Bulgarians, they do not like Vandermath. Why do you not like Vanderpirate? Bulgaria, what's wrong with you? You don't like Vanderpirate? Yeah, she was getting yelled at and heckled. Did not look good for Ursula. Very unpopular. Anyway, Macron, he is calling a meeting, I believe on September 4th, a coalition of the willing meeting to take place in Paris. What a dumb name, coalition of the willing. Willing to do what? We are a coalition of the willing. We're willing to send troops to Ukraine, but only after the U.S. military sets up shop in Ukraine. When the U.S. military commits to Ukraine and they put boots on the ground and they put planes in the air and ships in the sea and dedicate billions and billions of dollars in resources and men and weapons, only after the U.S. does this, then we're willing to send in our troops. We're the coalition of the willing. It should be called the coalition of the willing after the U.S. decides to get involved in Project Ukraine, which Trump has said the United States will not put boots on the ground. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Europe, you're going to be the ones taking the lead when it comes to Project Ukraine. But anyway, Macron is calling this coalition of the willing meeting, and all the cool kids will be attending. Mertz, I think, will be there. Stammer will be there. Vanderpirate will be there. Donald Tusk, I think, is going to attend. And there are even Meloni. What's a meeting without Meloni? It's no fun without Georgia Meloni. She brings the party with her. Georgia Meloni. Actually, Zelensky brings the party. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, Zelensky's going to attend. And the word is from the Financial Times that even Trump may show up at this coalition of the willing meeting in France, in Paris. They're going to talk about security guarantees. Ursula is saying that the European Commission, they're putting together a very detailed plan for security guarantees. Ukrainian troops backed up by European troops, backed up by a European army, right? Ukrainian troops, then European troops in Ukraine, and then a European army. And Ursula is saying that the European Union and the Commission, they're putting together very, very detailed plans for the next steps when it comes to Project Ukraine. Once you get a ceasefire, they're still talking about a ceasefire. Once we get a ceasefire, she says, we've got a very, very detailed plan about Project Ukraine. This is what Ursula is very committed to working on right now, right? Something that the Russians will never accept. and they're going to absolutely shoot this down, whatever plans Europe is coming up with. I don't even think the Russians are even paying attention to all of these plans that that Europe is coming up with. They're staying busy, man. They're staying busy. They have to justify their salaries somehow, right? And all they know how to do is Project Ukraine. They don't know anything else. Anyway, Trump might attend. This is according to the Financial Times. I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to attend this meeting. He would have to be really, really, really foolish to actually go to Paris and attend the event of losers, because that's what we're talking about. You know where Trump should be? Trump should be in China, man, right now. He should be in China, attending the summit of the winners. Drop the losers, side with the winners. It's not rocket science, dude. It's not rocket science at all, man. We'll see. We'll see if Trump ends up going to Paris. What is the Financial Times saying? Europe has a pretty precise plan to send troops to Ukraine, van der Leyen says. What a waste of time and money and resources, huh? We Europeans are paying for all of this. We're paying for Ursula and her team of 100 or 1,000 technocrats to sit around and come up with these ridiculous plans that no one's going to pay attention to and no one's going to bother taking into consideration. But we're paying them to do all this stuff. What a waste. So Zelensky, he met with Syrskyi the other day, and he said that Ukraine is ready to launch long-range missile strikes into Russia. He said they're all set to launch new deep strikes. Those are Zelensky's words, deep strikes into Russia. They've got all the targets picked out, he said. They've got the missiles ready, and it's going to happen any day now. He's talking about the Flamingo, right? That's what he's talking about. The Sapsans, also known as the Taurus, the Sapsans, aka the Taurus missiles, they were blown up by the Russian military. So now he has the Flamingos, which he claims are manufactured in Ukraine. But everyone knows that these are UK missiles. They can be assembled. They can be assembled via a kit. So they're sent. The thinking is that they're sent to Ukraine, and then Ukraine just simply puts them together. But these are UK missiles for the most part. At least that's what all the analysts say. Anyway, that's Zelensky saying that they're going to launch deep strikes into Russia. Zelensky also rejected Gerasimov's claims that he made the other day at a meeting, a defense minister's military event, meeting that took place. And Gerasimov, he made some interesting statements. I talked about this briefly in my video update yesterday. Alexander got into more detail of what Gerasimov said. Alexander says this was perhaps one of the most detailed presentation that Gerasimov has made to date about the military situation, the most impactful, important, detailed presentation that Gerasimov has made. He even brought with him maps and everything to basically talk about the state of the conflict on the front lines in Ukraine. And Gerasimov, he noted that Russia has advanced a lot further than anyone had thought, especially the analysts, the mapping channels. Everyone was thinking that Russia was at a certain position, but Gerasimov presented the Russian military in a much more advantageous position across the entire front line. I talked about how Gerasimov yesterday, he said that the Ukraine military, they're just trying to plug up holes across a very, very extended front line. But Gerasimov also said that Seversk is for the most part encircled or almost encircled. Kupiansk, fighting is taking place inside Kupiansk, but Kupiansk is for the most part encircled. He said that Pokrovsk is blocked. the Ukraine military in Pokrovsk, he said, is blocked. So he painted a very, very grim picture for the Ukraine military. And Zelensky said in his statement yesterday that everything that Gerasimov said is false. He said everything that he said is false, and the Ukraine military is doing just fine on the front lines. That was Zelensky's claim. Yeah, in the meeting that Gerasimov had yesterday, he actually has a map in back of him, and when you look at the map, you will see that the parts that are considered part of Russia are not only the 4 new oblasts, Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson, but it also includes Odessa and actually goes all the way to Transnistria. It encompasses all of the Black Sea, the map that Gerasimov had in the background. So what does that tell you? Anyway, let's do some more news and we'll wrap this video up. An update on the Banderite Maidan Parubi assassination. Ukraine says that they have captured a suspect. Well, the SBU has captured a suspect who they claim was involved in the assassination of Parubi. And the story that Ukraine is putting out there, that the SBU is putting out there, at least from the reports that I read, was that this guy was contacted by Russia, and Russia has his son. They've captured his son, or they actually have the body of his son, or something like that. And they said they'll give his son back to the father, or the body of his son back to the father, if the father assassinates a high-level Ukraine official. And the father decided that it would be Parubi. And that's the story that Ukraine is going with. And they caught the father in his apartment. So he assassinated perhaps the highest level, the most important Banderite. He assassinated the leader of the Maidan coup. He kills him, and then he went back to his apartment. The reports are is that he threw the gun in a river or something like that. And then he went back to his apartment and just started to chill. That's the report that we're getting from Ukraine. So it does look like they're going to say that Russia was behind this, which they might have been. Russia may have been behind this. But, the assassinations, this type of dirty war that Alexander calls it, that started from Ukraine and the collective West 3-letter agencies. They started the dirty war. They started the dirty war a long, long time ago, and Russia resisted in this type of stuff. If they were behind Parubi, Russia resisted, and they sent many warnings to Ukraine, to MI6, to the 3-letter agencies in the United States to cut it out, to stop it. And they wouldn't listen, and they kept on conducting assassinations inside of Russia, of journalists, of bloggers, of military officials. They've tried to go after government officials. Budanov has said that they've tried to take out even President Putin. And Russia sent many, many warnings. Stop doing this, cut this out. But the collective West and Ukraine did not listen. So if this was Russia behind Parubi, we always got to remember who started this. Now the gloves may be off. So the Houthis, they arrested UN officials yesterday. And the Houthis claim that these UN officials were passing on information to Israel, which led to the assassination of the prime minister. The UN is saying that this is not true, and they're demanding the release of their officials. But this is the situation in Yemen. It does remind me of the IAEA and Iran. Iran accused the IAEA of pretty much the same thing, that Israel was getting its information for the decapitation strikes of scientists from the IAEA. That was the allegation that came from Iran. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, that's what Iran was alleging. And now Yemen, the Houthis, are alleging pretty much the same thing from UN staff in Yemen. protests in Indonesia, which I have not talked about. I don't know much about the protests, to be honest, but I do understand that they're being led by students. They're raiding the homes of government officials. They're upset with the salaries of government officials, and they're actually entering the homes of various government officials, and they're just taking stuff. They're grabbing stuff, and these protests, which have become quite violent over the past couple of days, they actually prevented the president of Indonesia from going to the SCO. He was supposed to attend the SCO, right? Indonesia's now a very important country when it comes to the SCO and BRICS, a very important country. And he was supposed to attend, and because of these riots, he was forced to call it off. I get the sense of some sort of collective West interference in this. I could be wrong, but that's what my gut is telling me. That because Indonesia is without a doubt moving towards the multipolar system, and they're rejecting the collective West, that the powers that be are not happy with Indonesia, and they might be trying to stir up some sort of a regime change. I don't know. That's just what my gut is telling me. Once again, I don't know the situation that well. I'm not an expert in what's going on in Indonesia, but that's the way it seems, at least on the surface. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but anyway, it did prevent the president from going to China to attend the SCO. So it did have an effect on the government in Indonesia and on its participation in the multipolar world. So let's do a clown world and we can wrap up this video. There is a sign, or there are many signs in the UK as motorists are passing under a bridge. There's a sign which says honk if you think Stammer is a wanker. Keir Stammer is a wanker. Beep if you agree. That's what the signs say. Keir Stammer is a wanker. Beep if you agree. And as the cars pass under the bridge. There's a lot of beeping going on. A lot of beeping going on. Anyway, Ursulanomics. Let me play you a video of Ursula giving a speech talking about the Russian economy. So the Russian economy is no longer in tatters. Actually, the Russian economy, according to Ursula, is booming. It's booming, get this, it's booming because of the EU biting sanctions. So the EU biting sanctions, according to Ursula, have caused the Russian economy to boom because of the biting sanctions. It forced the Russian economy to become a total, she says, a total full-on war economy. And now it's booming because it's a war economy, all due to the fact that the EU placed biting sanctions. So Ursula's conclusion, as she's making the statement, is that the EU, if its economies want to boom and they want to grow, well, they have to become a war economy. That's what Ursula is getting at here in this statement. But let me play you this speech from Vander Economics, Ursulanomics. Let me play you what she said.
It is obvious that Putin will not stop there. He has built a full-scale war economy, also because of the biting sanctions that we have imposed. So it is an old-fashioned but full-scale war economy that he has. and he will continue to produce at large scale. So as we strengthen Ukraine's defense, we must also take greater responsibility for our own defense.
So that's Ursula. No longer tatters. No longer tatters. Now it's a booming economy. It's a growing economy. But it's growing because of the biting sanctions. That's why it's growing. Oh man, strong deterrence needed against predator Putin, van der Leyen tells Poles. Yeah, she was in Poland talking about Putin, the predator, the predator. They're really going with that predator thing. They're really, really going with that. What was the guy's name? Dutch? Was that Schwarzenegger's character? Was Dutch? I think that was Schwarzenegger. I don't know. Anyway, that's or was it Carl Weather? Was Carl Weathers Dutch? I don't know. Predator. Good movie. That's the video. TheDuran.locals.com. We're on Rumble. We're on X. We're on Telegram. Go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. There is a link in the description box down below. Take care.